Hi, this is Martin Shervington, and today, even though it is April 1st, this is a totally serious hangout, and I'm with Mark Traphagen, and we're here to discuss the views feature which has appeared on the 31st of March. It's not a joke, it's very serious, and it's already rolled out, and if you go to somebody's profile, somebody's page, you'll see this extra number, which is the views count. But I'm going to pass over to Mark. Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Martin. Good to talk with you as always. Been an eventful 24 hours once again on Google+.
It certainly has. And do you want to explain a little more about what this feature is for people?
Yeah, it just started showing up yesterday during the day. People started noticing that if they went to their profile, went to somebody else's profile, or to a page, they started seeing a metric they hadn't seen before. And it appeared right next to where you typically see the follower count of your Google Plus followers or your profile or page, and it just simply said views. And then if you put your mouse over the number, it would explain to you that this is the total views of your profile or page, as the case may be, photos and posts. And that's all it said at that time. And we spent much of yesterday kind of digging deeper to find out what that meant. But the new metric basically is some kind of total number of these views for your profile or page.
Okay, so I mean that's the basic feature, but you've already started to touch on where these come from. Now we may not have an absolute definitive, but what do we know from, I think, Jonathan is probably the main person that's been speaking on this. Do you want to give a little overview of what he's been saying?
Sure, yeah, Jonathan Zunger of Google has been very helpful and forthcoming. He's been answering a lot of questions and given us at least some insights. And I'll cover first what we know, and there's a few speculative things out there that Jonathan, he's probably having a busy day today, he has not answered yet. But the things that we do know from him and from one other Googler, who he's confirmed is a Googler, who also posted about it, are this. First of all, let's talk about where these views show up or how they get counted. It's a little different between posts and then between profiles and images. Let's start with profiles and images. First of all, we've been told that those get counted as a view only when someone opens them specifically. So in the case of a photo or an image, the image just going by in the stream doesn't get counted as an image view. But if someone clicks on that image in their stream or in your post or wherever, and they open it up, typically an image would open up in what we call a like box, that counts as a view for the image. Similar thing with your profile or your page. Someone has to actually go to that profile for it to count as a view. Now those are for those. Now what's different, very different, and this is where a lot of where people are seeing the large numbers. They're saying, how can I have, I only have 1,000 followers, but I've got 10 million views. How does that happen? Most of that's happening apparently at the post level, because a post gets a view if it's just simply seen by a person. And that can mean going by in their stream. So they're looking at their stream, either their all stream or a stream, circle stream if they have you in. And even if they just scroll by that post, as long as it has visibly been on their screen, in the visible part of their browser, that counts as a view for that post. Now, not only that, but all the reviews of that post. So if that post gets shared, that counts as a view for the person who shared it, if it's seen, but also a view for the reshared post. That reshared post embedded in the reshare. So the original poster gets a view count every time that's seen. One more place where that can multiply with +1 recommendations. If someone who has that feature enabled on their profile +1s one of your posts, then potentially that post is pushed out to their extended network, their followers and the followers of those people, as a recommended post. It will show up, you've seen these in your stream where it'll say above it, Martin Shervington +1 this. Any of those get counted as views. So that's the ones that we know about. I'll stop there for a moment.
Well, I was going to add the other one in, which we know is the embedded posts.
Oh, yes, yes.
Embeds on a website, and even though that's an iframe, we've had it confirmed that will get counted as a view because it calls on Google servers, so it can count it as a view in order to pull in that information. So, I mean, let's quickly finish that bit and then start to talk about some of the consequences of this in terms of actions,
Yeah. So just
for brands in particular.
Yeah, just to explain a little bit more deeply for people who may not understand, that you can, for some time now, you've been able to embed a Google Plus post on a website. If you click on a post, typically on the little menu at the upper right of a post, one of the choices is embed this post. It gives you some code you take and you put that into your blog post or your web page, and a window is open called an iframe is put into that post. And it actually shows the post, and you can go into that window, you can scroll the post. If it has lots of comments, you can engage with it. That window in iframe is actually a window. It's like an opening in your site into Google+. So that's why they count that as a view.
So,
now, want me to bring up some of the speculative things? Because we're seeing some billionaires, they're already being called, some people who have billions of views, and which is astounding. And some of them, with no more followers than you or I, but have billions of views. How is that happening? Well, here's where we're getting into some speculation. One is that I know it's almost confirmed now that if you put an image on a blogger post, that image is hosted really in Google+. And that views of that image on your blogger blog then get counted as views. That's one thing. That's almost certain at this point, but we haven't had, Jonathan or somebody saying like, yes, that's it. Oh, before I forget, sorry, this is parentheses, but one more detail. This is from another Googler. Maybe you'll remember his name. One of the first guys that broke the story, escaping me at the moment, Emmett or something. But he told us, this is the only place we've seen this, that the view counts are since October of 2012. So they don't go all the way back to the beginning of Google+, which is June 2011. So October 2012, and Jonathan confirmed that his information was accurate. So the other thing, now the other speculative one, this is much more speculative, this has been brought up by Jana Nystrom, is the idea that YouTube views, if you have a YouTube channel, since now YouTube is integrated with Google+, that YouTube views might be getting counted into your view count. We have no confirmation of that. That seems a little bit more out there to me, but it's possible. So we're waiting to hear about that one.
Okay, so let's kick into what this means. I think this is probably the biggest change that we've seen for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
Because a lot of people, we've talked about follower count before, and that it's not what it's about. As I always say, the numbers matter, but they don't. And I mean that they matter if somebody thinks that they're important. And it's usually externally. People say, oh, wow, you got that many followers. And I think people are now going to go, oh, wow, you got that many views. So who are the people that are getting the most views generally? I mean, you've got the sort of the extreme ones with the speculative blogger. But what are you seeing? Let's talk about cat gifts, Mark. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, really, it all comes back to cat gifts. We always knew it would. It's taken 3 years.
The web.
That's right. It's not Bitcoin, folks. It's cat gifts. Yeah, that's a great question. We haven't done any thorough studies on that yet, but just anecdotally looking around, one type of user who is benefiting from this, if you see the view counts as a benefit, are the photographers, people who post lots of images. Because images get shared a lot. Those are very popular. Obviously, I've seen some people who tend to post things that get a lot on what's hot. So meme, we were joking about cat gifts, but any kind of meme photo, funny video, funny photo, stuff that people like to share gets lots of engagement. Martin, I think do you care to share that observation you shared with me earlier about your 2 communities? I think that kind of gives.
Oh yeah, the 2 pages. So Plus Your Life and Plus Your Business, 2 different pages. The Plus Your Business page has around, I think it's 1.3 million views on the content. That page solely posts blog posts, and they are blog posts from community members of Plus Your Business, and also of plusyourbusiness.com, and that's 1.3 million views. Now, I look at Plus Your Life as a page, and that's primarily quotes, sometimes a few videos, but they don't tend to get a huge amount of traction. And that page, so say largely constituting of quotes, has over 3 million views.
Yeah, and I think that's a great clue right there. That stuff that's generally kind of fun and popular, people are going to reshare and repost and share with their friends. So that's going to get more views. Um, and maybe at this point it'd be good to talk about how much we think this matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perceived value of this. This is the starting
Mhm.
point. Is this something we should be concerned about? What do you think in relation to business as well? Let's tag that one on.
Yeah. Well, there is, I think, at some level, and some people who are marketers, yes, they were quick to point out this isn't the metric that they would really want. Ultimately, what we really want, we're hungry for more detail. Like, give us views per post and engagement per post, and sort of thing, and demographic breakdowns, and that's the information we're really hungry for. But at a 30,000-foot level, what I be- let me express why I believe Google gave us this. Why did they put this out there? Because I think they want to move the focus slowly but surely, and this is a first move in this direction, from follower counts to being engaging. Um, Follower counts are the easiest thing in the world to run up and to gain, as we know. It's the reason why we say, like I say anyway, and a lot of us say, that likes on a Facebook fan page don't really mean all that much, because people will like a page for all kinds of reasons. People will follow you for all kinds of reasons. You can do one thing that somebody likes, and they follow you, and they may never look at your page again. And look, that's the key word there, because what the view now says is this page doesn't just have a lot of followers that maybe they got into a big circle share and they're not people that care about them, but this page actually, the stuff it posts on there gets looked at.
Hmm.
Now, at a certain level, we have to be aware that that doesn't guarantee that people looked at it and liked it or thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread or shared it with 50,000 of their friends, but at least it was seen. It was looked at, and we call that reach. So this is a demonstration, I think, of whether or not your profile or page has reach. Is it how, that's, I think, it's moving us in that direction. And I always see Google doing these things as a form of behavior modification. They give us little pieces of information because they know that information will have some meaning to us and will try to do something with us, with it. And I think here that the main thing is Google wants and needs to increase activity on Google+. They want to keep people here longer. They want to keep people engaged longer. So if profiles and pages are doing the kinds of things that generate more views, that has that result.
I agree totally. I think it changes considerably how people will perceive activity. And we're going to be watching it. At what points do people start to do activities to get to that first million, and then the 10 million mark, and then the 100 million mark? Well, what's going to happen? It changes considerably the psychology behind our behavior on the platform.
Yeah, I know. We're already hearing it, and there will be some complaining, or at least negative commentary from people who come here wanting to build, for lack of a better term, real value. Wanting to have substantive conversations, wanting to have an engaged following that engages them because of their thoughts and their thought leadership and all those kinds of things, will complain that people post funny cat gifs are going to have a lot more views, and they are. So this is the other side of the equation, is while the view metric is valuable as far as it goes, it gives you kind of an idea of that you've got some reach, that what you're posting is getting out there. I think at the end of the day, you've got to balance that with the measurement of your sense of what real value you're getting out of that. So if you were a page who was posting substantive content that was really building your brand, building your thought leadership, building your authority, and then you switch to posting all funny meme photos just to run up a view count, you might win the view count lottery. But what have you won? How are those funny photos building the audience that you really need for your business? What are they saying about your brand?
So we're getting the content that you post and the authority that you're gaining, and how that then relates to search as well. Let's go back to the old chestnut, that you want people to be engaging around or on your content that are authoritative themselves in subject matters, so that authority can rub off. That's the short version. isn't it? But that's what we've been doing, is how do you build a community around you that say that your content is the most appropriate to surface in search when people are looking for certain answers, let's say, certain phrases. Now, one of the things is making sure that the views that people get are coming from content where there is no copyright infringement. I think that's one of the big things, and I think with Plus Your Business, what we're doing is making sure that clients and people who are around, that the community are okay with the content they're putting out, and they know it's not just a case of taking anybody's content just to get the numbers up. So I think that's something that we're going to see as a little bit of fallout, is how people are maybe opening themselves up to a little bit of risk if they don't keep the content legal, let's say. We've been told this is disruptive technology, and it's disruptive within the platform, it's disruptive psychologically. It means the things that were important can still be important, or they may change. And I believe that with this one, what's going to be important for Google search is still high quality content and the relationships that you have around that content, and those people then determining the value through the sharing that will levitate it into, amplify it into search. Could levitate as well. So I think that is the main thing still to be focused on, is quality content, building the community around. However, this is a new metric, and I know for brands, they'll start seeing this as another way of measuring the success of a page. Probably a lot more than the +1 number, because there wasn't a huge focus on that. But there we go. That is the new feature today. I'm Martin Shervington. That was Mark Traphagen before he dropped out. But I think you've got the general idea that this is a big change, and just the first day into it, let's see what happens next, folks. So thank you for watching. Oh, we got Mark back just as I finished. I was literally finishing, Mark. So do you want to make some, you missed all the good stuff. You can watch it later. Do you want to make some parting comments? No, we can carry on now.
Yeah, I'm frustrated because I think I had some really good things to say, and I don't know if they were recorded or not now, because
they may not.
At some point my connection went down.
Let's recap.
Okay. Well, what I was trying to say is, when I last saw you, you were talking about the authority thing and the importance of authority into search and things like that. And I'll try to make that very brief. What I say is that those of us that understand that, we're operating somewhat on a leap of faith that we think is justified, because Google has been talking for a long time about wanting to be able to identify who are the trusted authorities in various topics and who trusts them and why. And a lot of us think that Google Plus is one place where they are measuring that and evaluating it and looking at that. So the pitch here, I guess, is to continue to value your substantive content and the engagement that you can build on that, and the people who are also substantive people who have some influence on Google Plus who are interacting with that. Don't get so caught up by the view count that you miss out on that and you give up your valuable authority. I think that's the sum of the point that I wanted to make.
Well, that's great, because that's exactly what I've said just when you're out the room.
So I have to recap.
I think we're on the same page with it. Yeah. Great recap. And I think that we're going to see how this one rolls out, and I think there will be some cultural changes. I was mentioning as well about copyright, and I deleted a tremendous amount of content that I felt that maybe there are going to be slight issues with in the future. So, I wanted to encourage people to make sure that they're using legal content. And I probably deleted 50 million views off that. It doesn't matter. Because what matters is making sure, actually, the relationships is what really matters more than anything else. Because let's look at this, Mark. Search metrics and sales. Let's go to business. Yeah, instead of chasing that number of how many views, what about how many people are going to your website, how many people are filling in a form, or sign up for a newsletter and things like that, and how many people are actually purchasing. We've got to remember that this is what a lot of businesses really want, is business.
Yeah. It's amazing how many businesses get caught up. We saw this on Facebook first, and it's probably going to happen here. It's already happening. How many business people get caught up when they're into social media marketing on just the numbers? How many followers do I have? How many views am I getting? Those kinds of things can get addictive, and you can forget your purpose. Well said. Can I express one other quick caution before we finish? There is, and I have some part in this. Yesterday when we saw this, we started thinking, well, how can we make this a useful metric? And one of the quick proposals was, well, you could divide the number of views by the number of followers and kind of get a rough engagement percentage, engagement ratio. And that seemed like a good idea at first, but I am really cautioning people on that now because that often does not tell the right story. It can, in many cases, but the best example I can put out there is our friend David Amerland. David Amerland, I don't think there's anybody that I know, or a few people that I know, that are more engaging than him and who get more engagement. He gets lots of engagement, gets lots of reshares in his posts, lots of comments, all the plus ones, all the social signals that are on his posts. But he got put on the SUL, the suggested users list. So his follower count has been vastly, I'll use the term, inflated. That will, anybody who gets put on that knows, they get bumped up. So now he has well over 2.5 million followers. So his ratio is going to be much, much lower than a lot of other people. If you just look at that, it's not giving you a true picture.
So I think it's got about 280, 300,000 followers, just to say, not the millions, I think.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But even still, okay. That's like 4 times what I have. That's great, and I'm not denigrating that. That's wonderful. But most people who've been on the suggested user list know that it runs your numbers up very fast, and that the vast majority of those followers don't appear to be people who are really going to become real followers. They're not people who are really engaging on your material. You're still going to have that relatively small core of people who do that. So all I'm saying here is that if you're just looking at that ratio, it can be distorted. You look at David and you say, well, he has a very small engagement ratio, so he's not very valuable. But if you looked at his actual page profile and his content and what happens on it, you see he's extremely valuable.
And I think that's the thing, is that wasn't what Google gave us. Google didn't give us that ratio. They didn't say, do that, folks, put one over the other. And I know that people are looking at that because it's there to be done. They just said, this is the number of views. So they're not trying to, because if they did put that number on there, that would be different. But it's not then that they value that. So I think that, I agree. And I think, there's another point here, which is you only need 100 people around you who love your content, who are engaging around that content, who have reached themselves, let's say, and have a network, and this is growing all of the time, and they'll amplify your content into search.
Yeah.
For you, you don't need, you can't have 100,000, but you don't see a post that's got 100,000 shares on it. It's just not. It just isn't like that.
And that's a great point, Martin, because that's what I'm going to use when I have to give the elevator pitch to people about. So what's so valuable about Google Plus? Why should my business be on Google Plus? I'm going to show people these view counts, and I'm saying that this is the first tangible evidence we have of the reach of Google Plus. That's not really the first. I can show it other ways, but it's good. It's easy to understand. You look at that and you say, like, wow, this page. In the case I'll take our Stone Temple Consulting page, we have 2,700 followers. That's not a huge number, but we have something like 800,000 views, and you look at that and you say, we're getting tremendous exposure and reach out of this, and so it's a way of presenting that to people and saying that when you're on Google Plus, you can't just be looking at what's right in front of your face. It's the way it can push you out throughout all of Google.
And that's the social side, and as we said before, then you've got the search side as this content surfaces, which is so important for a lot of people. So we're looking in platform, look at the reach, great. Let's not forget that so many people want content to be surfacing in Google search, and that's around engagement and having the right people and building your community with good content. All those things.
Amen.
Amen. There we go. That's it, folks. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks very much. Sorry for the drop out there.
Not a problem at all. And thanks everybody for watching. It's not an April Fool's joke. This is real. This has happened. Take care. See you all soon.
Bye now.